an absolute value equation, remember absolute value symbols are those little straight lines. They look a little bit, it's hard to tell them from 11, but they're a little bit longer than the other numbers in the sentence. Okay? And what it means, what absolute value means is the distance from 0. How far away is the number that's inside here away from 0? Okay? And distance, you think about it, if I walk 1, 2, 3 steps this way, I'm 3 steps away from Cameron, right? Okay? Now I'm going to go the opposite way. How many steps am I away from Cameron? 3. Okay, I stepped 3. Yeah, I'm still 3 away. Even though I went the opposite way, shouldn't I be like negative 3 steps away from him? No. Distance is distance. It doesn't matter which way I go. I could go this way, right? So I'm still 3 steps away from Cameron. Okay? Yeah. So it doesn't matter in what direction I move. Distance is always going to be positive. Okay? So since absolute value is the distance from 0, it's always positive. All right? So the absolute value of 7 is equal to the absolute value of negative 7 because they're both the same distance away from 0. If I draw in a number line, and here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, they're both 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 away from 0. Right? Okay, so the absolute value of 7 and negative 7 is 7. Yes.
So will absolute value be in these equations here?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. So that that throws in that throws a wrench into the plans because when you're solving an absolute value equation, you have to worry about the positive and the negative because when I solve this equation, this x plus 7 in here, I don't know if the answer is originally positive or originally negative because after I solved it, then I took the absolute value. So the fact that this is 12 meant that what was inside of here either was 12 or negative 12. All right, so in every absolute value equation, you have to write 2 equations to solve it. Okay? So the x plus 7 in here could have been positive, or the x plus 7 could have been negative. Right? We don't know. It could have been the positive version that equals 12 or the negative version that equals 12. Okay? Now, ordinarily what we would do is divide through both sides by negative 1 and make this x plus 7, because these would cancel, and make this x plus 7 equals negative 12. Okay? But it's good to get in a habit of thinking of it this way because when you do inequalities like greater than or less than, it affects the answer. So it's good to remember that this is the part that started out to be negative, not this. So when you're writing the 2 equations, it's the part that's in here that's positive or negative. Okay? Not the answer. Okay, now when we divide by negative 1, we're going to move that negative over to the answer. But it's good to remember that this is the part that started out positive and negative, because when you do inequalities like greater than or less than, remember when you divide by negative 1 and a greater than or less than, it flips the symbol. Yeah. So you have to remember that that's where the negative started over here, because you're going to have to flip symbols sometimes. Okay? Yes?
So without solving it out, could we just assume that there would have to be a positive and a negative answer?
Yes. All right, so every single one of these is going to give me 2 answers. I'm going to subtract 7 here, and so x can be 5, right? And then I'm going to subtract 7 here, and x can be negative 19. So those 2 are the 2 possible values of x. All right? to solve absolute value equations, the first thing you have to do, kind of wrote over top of my thing here. Hold on. The first thing you want to do is isolate the absolute value expression. Okay, you want it alone on one side, just like we had up here, the x plus 7. All right, well, in our example here, the absolute value is being multiplied by 3. So to undo multiplying by 3, you divide by 3. So that's going to leave me the absolute value of x minus 7 equals 8. Let me see how I did that. Because that seems like it throws people off. These work like parentheses in every way except you cannot distribute across an absolute value symbol. Okay? So it's kind of like parentheses, prison, everything's stuck in here until you split it up into 2 pieces and all that. The only thing that makes it different than parentheses is you cannot distribute into it. Yeah.
Is that equation still over 3?
No, no. So if I divide it out of 3 and I got this.
Why are they two
I'm sorry?
Why are they two?
This was solving it. Like this part, I combined it, but like this was my original equation. The 3 times x minus 7 equals 24. So to isolate the absolute value expression, the first thing I did was divide by 3. Okay? All right. The next step is to create a positive and negative equation. Okay? So x minus 7, absolute value of x minus 7 equals 8. Oh, shoot. It shouldn't be 24, it should be 8. Should be x minus 7 equals 8 or negative x minus 7 equals 8. And this one I can divide through by negative 1 and make x minus 7 equals negative 8. Okay? And I don't mind if you skip this step as long as you really remember this was originally the part that was negative. Okay? But if you just want to write x minus 7 equals 8 and x minus 7 equals negative 8, for equalities, that's fine.
What do you mean by that part was the original one that was negative? Like,
As long as you remember the stuff that was inside the absolute value symbol is the part we originally made negative. It's not that x minus 7 equals 8 and negative 8, or the absolute value, because the absolute value of this cannot be negative, right? So it's not that the absolute value of x minus 7 equals 8 and the absolute value of x minus 7 equals negative 8. It's that the x minus 7 itself is positive and negative. Okay? All right? And my last step, solve both equations. So you're going to get 2 answers. So I add 7 to this side, and that gives me x is 15. And I add 7 to this side, and that gives me x is negative 1. Make sense? Okay. All right, why don't you try some?
what was the third?
Okay, so what you have to do is you have to make it equal 15, and then you gotta do 3x plus 6 equals negative 15. And you subtract 6 from both of them, you get 3x equals 9, and 3x equals negative 21. X will equal, divided by 3, x equals negative 7, and x